Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final video for the goal 2 of pre-algebra, where we're dealing with multiplication and division. The last thing to wrap up with is some decimal division, so we're all going to have a grand laugh at Ms. Dubois as she tries to do decimal division in her head. It will be great. All right, so to start, we were talking about this a little bit in the last video, but when you're dividing by a power of 10. So we were talking earlier about multiplying by tens. You move to the right by the number of zeros, and then when you multiply by decimals, you're going to move to the, whoops, wrong direction. You're going to move to the left by the number of decimal places. Shockingly, when you're doing division, this is the reverse. So when you divide by the tens or whole numbers, tens or hundreds or thousands, you're moving to the left by the number of zeros. And when you are dividing by decimals, you're going to move to the right by the number of decimal places. That's what we're looking to do here. So here we're dividing, and how many zeros are there? 3. So we're going to take this decimal point and move it over 1, 2, 3 spaces. Put in our 0 placeholders to have 0.00761. Same thing over here. How many zeros do we have? 1. So how far do we move it over? 1. 8.65, or 8 65 hundredths. How many zeros do we have? 1, so we move it over 1.831. How many zeros do we have? 1. How many places do we move it? 1. 8.97, 8 97 hundredths. All right. So now, again, we're now dividing by a decimal by we're dividing a decimal by a decimal. There we go. So this means we're going to be going, like it says up here, to the right. So if I see 1, 2, 3 places, I'm going to move this over 1, 2, 3 places to get a final answer of 540. I have a decimal of 1, 2 places, so I move this over 1, 2 places, put in a placeholder, so I have a final number of 60. Here I have a decimal of 1, so I move it over 1 to get 7.75, 7 3/4. Here I'm dividing by 1, 2 spaces, so I move it over by 1, 2 spaces to get a final answer of 90. So again, this right here, you're going to kind of low-key want in your notebook to have as reference until you've internalized this enough that you can do it on demand. Now, whole number division with decimal answers. What have we got here? All right, so 2 divided by 5. That's 2 divided by 5. Remember, fractions are no longer fractions. They're just division. So 2 divided by 5, I can multiply that out, or not by 10, Ms. Dubois. What the heck did you just do? Times 2 to get 4 over 10, and that gets me 0.4. 18 divided by 8, that I cannot do quickly in my head. So let's see what we've got. 2. That's going to be my guess. Let's see if I'm right. 18 divided by 8. So let me actually do this out long way, actually. Instead of me doing it in my head and then assuming that I'm right, let's do this out with a little bit more intention. We're doing 8 divided by 18. I'm going to put in some zeros for placeholders. I don't know how many I'll have, but I know I'm going to end up using them. 8 doesn't go into 1, but it does go into 18 twice, because 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract, and I get 2. Now that I've put in those 0 placeholders, those are the numbers that can drop down to help with the long division. 8 goes into 20 again twice, so that is going to be 16. That's 4, and then another 0 drops down, and 8 goes into 40 5 times. So I was right. Oh, okay. So 2.25 is our final answer. 26 divided by 8. 8 goes into 26 3 times, and then that's going to be 0.25, I think. Let's double check. So 26.00. I'll just do 2 decimals this time. So we know it goes in 3 times because 8 times 3 is 24. Subtract, we have a 20. 8 goes into 20. How many times? Twice, because it gets you 16. 16 minus 20 is 40, which goes in 4 times. Yep, 3.25. Now 22 divided by 8. Ooh, that's my guess. Let's see if I'm right. So 22, we'll boot two zeros again because that seems to be working for us. 8 goes into 22 2 times 16. 22 minus 16 is 6. That drops down. 8 goes into 67 times because that's 56, and then that gets you the 40, which is going to get you this 75. So that was correct. We got lucky. Now division decimal by a whole number. We're going to do this again. Excuse me. 9 goes into, so 25 minus 18 is 72, which is 8. All right, that's my guess. Let's see if I'm right, because I am trying to do this in my head. 2.52 divided by 9. So 9 goes into, oh, so it'll be 0.28. See, this is why I flail. Okay, so 9 can't go into 2, but 9 can go into 25 twice, because 2 times 9 is 18. When you subtract, you're left with 7, and then 8 times 7 is 72, and then that cancels out. So it's going to be 0.28. And so now you learned, just because you can do it in your head doesn't always necessarily mean that you should, because sometimes Miss Dubois will learn that she's human and she'll make a mistake. Let's see here. 5 goes into, I'm still going to try to do it though, because I'm a little schnitzel. Let's see here. 5 goes into 22 4 times, and that's going to be 4.5. I can already tell. But let's do that out to confirm it. 22.5 divided by 5. So it goes in 4 times because 5 times 4 is 20. Subtract. You're left with the 25. And how many times does 5 go into 25? 5 times. Now, 7 into 133. This will be interesting. 7 goes into 13 once, and then 63 is 9. Oh, okay, so that's not too bad. So again, we're going to divide the long way to confirm that I'm right. Just because I did it in my head doesn't mean that it's right. 133, Ms. Dubois, pay attention. 7 can't go into 1, but 7 go into 13 once, because 1 times 7 is 7. 13 minus 7 is 6. 3 drops down. 7 times what is 63? 7 times 9 is 63, and that cancels, so that's your final answer. 1, that's going to be easy too. All right, so 10.5 divided by 7. 7 goes into 10 once. When you subtract it, you're going to get 10 minus 7 is 3. The 5 drops down. 7 times what is 35? 5, and that's going to be your answer. Okay, now we're going to get this. I definitely have to do the long way, and I'm suddenly nervous that I didn't give myself enough time, enough space. All right, so let's see here. We have 475. Now this I'm going to set up a little bit differently. I want to show you something. My decimal, because I don't want to really deal with the decimals like at all, so I'm going to move the decimal over 2 spaces in order to make it so that I don't have to deal with the decimals. What I do to the outside, I have to do to the inside. So that 0.5 gets to move over 2 spaces. And with that done now, this is going to be a lot easier in order to do the math out. 38 can only go into 47 once. So what is 47 minus 38? Oh, that's just 9 goes into 5. 3 goes into 38 goes into 95, probably twice. If we're wrong, we'll find out. 60, 76. Yeah, that works out neatly, I think, because that borrows out to 19. Okay, and then that's definitely going to be 5. Because 5, that's going to be 150, and then we have the 40. Yep. And then it becomes, I'm sorry, I'm doing the math in my head right now, so I'm probably not being particularly coherent, but I was just doing 38 times 5. Our final answer here is going to be 125. Same thing again. I'm going to do 9.99 divided by 0.74. I don't want to deal with the decimal, so I'm going to move it over 1, 2. Move it over 1, 2. So the decimal answer is going to go here. 74 goes into 99 once. I definitely know that. So that's going to be 25. Let's see here. So then what will that be? 7. I'm going to guess 3. Let's see if I'm right. 71 times 3 is going to be 21, 22, 222. Really? 222? Oh, that's cool. Subtract, and we're going to have 37, 0. And that definitely is going to be a 5, because 5 times 74 is going to be 370. And so my final answer is going to be 13.5. And you'll notice, even though this is decimal division, once I move my decimals over, I'm not really dealing with the decimals like at all anymore. And the result of that is that I'm just doing straight up long division. So now we're going to do this again. We have pen, pen, uh-oh. Yeah, that was entertaining. Someone's pen decided to die in the middle of recording after doing videos for I don't know how long. It finally decided to do the one thing I didn't want it to do. That was great. Now I have to remember where the heck my train of thought was. Dividing. Okay. So we're going to set this up. So we have the 486, and then we're going to divide by 3.6. We're moving over 1 decimal place, so we move it over 1 decimal place. And I'm going to move the decimal up so that I just, again, don't have to worry about it. 4 goes into 36 basically once. 1 times 36 is 36. And when we subtract, we get 12. The 6 drops down. Let's see here. I'm going to take a guess that that's going to be 6. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 3. Nope, that's not it. It's not. All right. 48.6 and then 3.6. Yeah, so what did I do wrong? That's 4, that's 2, that's 126. All right, so that's actually pretty small. Is it 4? No. Is it 3? We might need more zeros. All right, so let's try 3 right now. So 3 times 36, 3 times 6 is 18, and that's 11. So that becomes 80, which somehow I write as 88 because apparently losing my pen has made me lose my mind. You know, again. Let's see here, 36, that's definitely not going to be 5. So let's do, gosh, is it even 2? Yeah, it will be 2. So 2, so that becomes 72. Which gets me 80 again. So that's going to get me 72, which will get me 80, which will get me 72, which is going to get me 80. Okay, so that 2 is going to repeat over and over and over again. Because times 2 gets me 72, subtract to get 80, need another 0, etc., etc., etc. And if you remember this, that's going to be 1.32 repeating with that bar over the 2. That's what they're trying to get at. Okay, so I didn't know that was going to be an actual answer for this topic. Now we know. Now for the next one, we have 0.777 divided by 4.2, move it over once, and then put the decimal on its spot. So 42 doesn't go into 7, but 42 does go into 77 once. 42, that gets me 35, so that's 357. Let's see here, 4 goes into, my guess is going to be 8. Let's see how we do. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 32, 8 times 4 is 32, plus 1 is 33. That's pretty good. So that's going to get me 21,210. So let's see here. Can we do a 5? Yes, we can. 5 goes into 40, 20, and then the 5 goes into 2, 10. And that simplifies perfectly. So now we have 0.185 as our final answer. Okay, and the topic is finally done after much trial and tribulation. Decimal division with rounding. So now we come in knowing that this is not going to divide evenly as we're going through this. Let's see what that actually looks like. So we have 0.982, Ms. Dubois, divided by 0.31. So we know how to do this the long division way. Let's just see what we get. Look at that ugly mess of a decimal. So it says round to the nearest tenth. So we have 3.16. 1 is my tenths place. 6 is my decision maker. You remember our rounding, I think, all the way back from goal 1. Since it's 5 or more, we're rounding up, so our final answer is 3.2. That's not it. Let's look at this. So we have 9.62 divided by 3.4, and we have 2.82, round to the nearest tenth, 2.82. There's my decision maker, stay the same, so our final answer is 2.8. Now we start getting into some nominally fun stuff. Let's see here. We have average of two numbers. Average is when you add up all the numbers. So you're going to, and I'll use one of our fancy math words, we're going to sum all of our numbers and then divide by the number of numbers. That's the tricky part. So if I'm looking at the number of numbers, there's 1, 2 numbers here. So when I do my math out, I'm going to divide by 2. So since I have to add them all up, what is 32 plus 49, 70, 81? What's 81 divided by 2? 40.5. What is the average of 130 and 107? So that's going to be 237 when we add them up, divide by 2. So that's going to be 117 is 8.5. 118.5. And now here, again, you've been doing the long division up here the entire time, so this shouldn't be theoretically that hard for you. What is 53 and 125? 170, 178 divided by 2. Hey, that's a whole number. That's going to be 79 as a final answer. And now, next thing, we're doing signed decimal division. So we're back to integers again. We're dealing with positive and negative numbers. But we've done this enough times that you just handle the sign first and then forget about it. So a negative divided by a negative, double negative is a positive. We're dividing, so we're going to move to the left 1, 2, 3 spaces. So 0.4839. Here, they're going to make me do this the long way. So okay, let's do my answer out. So 9 goes into 53, 5 times 53 minus 45 is 81, so that's going to be my answer there. Now you'll notice I'm less interested in writing out the math because you've done it so many times now. Now you're starting to see me do my human calculator shtick, and we just cross our fingers that I'm doing the decimals right. So positive divided by a negative is a negative. 7 goes into 47 6 times, so that's going to be 56, so that'll be 0.8. This one, we're going to do the negative. We're moving the decimal to the left 1, 2, 3 spaces, so negative 0.2375. This one we're dividing, positive divided by a negative is a negative. We're dividing by 3 zeros, so we're going to move it over 1, 2, 3 spaces, 0.8129. Double negative is a positive. 4 goes into 22 5 times, and then 28, that's going to be 7, 5.7. Okay, not so bad. Now, word problem with division of a decimal and a whole number. So we already know coming in this is going to be division, so I almost don't need to read the problem. The total bill is 82, so we're dividing by 5. 8 goes into 5 once, 8 goes into 32 6 times, 8 goes into 25 5 times, so 16.50 for each client. 2.8 ounces of cheese to make 7 slices of pizza. So 2.8 divided by 7. So that's, I don't even need a calculator. That's just 28 divided by 7, which is 4. Move the decimal over to get 0.4. It's going to be your final answer. Word problem with division of 2 decimals. I might need to do this out the long way. We will see. So 26, there is a All right, so we're taking the 0.26 and we're dividing by 11.96. Move it over 2 places, move it over 2 places. So 11, what am I doing? 26 into, so that's either going to be 4 or 5. We'll assume 4. 4 times 26 is 24. 4 times 8 is 2 is 104, which gets me 15, 156. Okay, that's going to be 6, maybe? 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 3 is 50. Okay, so your final answer here is going to be 46. So it looks like these are going to divide evenly. We will see. We have 0.4 hours each day, but our total is going to be the 29.6. Move it over, move it over. 4 goes into 29 7 times, and then 4 goes into 16 4 times. So 74 is your final answer. So that one's not too bad. Next, squaring decimal places. Again, the products are going to be greater than. All right. So again, what does this actually mean? This is 3.3 times 3.3. So I'm going to pull out my handy calculator. 3.3 times 3.3 equals 10.89. 10.89. Now, this is what I want to point out to you, because the math itself I'm less interested in. There's 1 decimal point here. There's 1 decimal point here, which is why your decimal is over 1, 2 spaces. That's what they're trying to train you to do. So now 0.96 times 0.96 is 9216. 0.9216. And if we think about it, that's 0.96 times 0.96. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. That's why it works out. 9 times 9, that's 81. If I do 0.9 times 0.9, there's 1, 2 decimal places. So I move it over 1, 2 places to get 0.81 as my final answer. Same thing over here, and this one actually, I'll be honest, this one looks even easier because 4 times 4 is 16. But if I do 0.04 times 0.04, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. So I'm going to move my decimal over 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces like that. 0.0016. 3 times 3 is 9. And now because it's 0.3 times 0.3, there's 1, 2 spaces. So I need 1, 2 spaces, 0.09. 6 times 6 is 36. So how many decimal places do I have to account for it? I have 1, 2, 3, 4. So I move over 1, 2, 3, 4. 0.0036. Okay. We're starting to hit near the end. It's the end is nigh. Wait, I probably shouldn't say that. Okay, so order of operations with decimals. So now we're back to order of operations. So if you remember from the prior video, that's PEMDAS. So it doesn't look like we have either parentheses or exponents. We're dealing specifically with the fact that we're doing the multiplication and division first. So 2.1 times 1 times 1.6, 21, 1.6. So that's 6, 12, 1, that's going to be 21, so that's going to be 3, 3, 6. There's 1, 2 decimal places. I move it over 1, 2 spaces. So now my first answer is 3.36. So I'm going to subtract that minus 3.36. So that's going to be 7. That's going to be 14.17. Now over here we do our multiplying again. So 27 times 17, that's 49. So that's going to be 189, and then that's going to be 27. So that's 459, and there's 1, 2 decimal places. So it is 4.59 minus 1.8. So that's 279. Not so bad. Again, multiplication and division comes first. So what is 36 times 16? 18 plus, and that's going to be 36. So 576, and there's 1, 2, 3 decimal places. So that's going to be 0.576 plus 4.17. 4.746. That's the kind of math that you're going to be doing. So not too bad, nothing extravagantly hard. Multiplication with a decimal and a fraction. Universe, that's just mean. Why would you do that to me? Okay, So I'm going to be honest, I'm going to straight up cheat at this point. This is the last topic I have for the goal. So 5 divided by 16 equals, and now I'm going to multiply it by 62.4 equals 19.5. Thank you, universe. Next, computer. We have 9 divided by 5. I think that's just going to be 1.8, right? Yeah, 1.8. And then it's times 84.5. And what do we get you? 152.1. 152.1. Then we have 9 divided by 4. That's going to be 2 3/4. No, 2 1/4. Okay. Times 6D.8 gets you 136.8. And is that it? Oh, wow. Wait, is that it? We did it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is delayed, but that is all of the topics for pre-algebra goal 2. You will have hit 95%. You can take the objective knowledge check, come out above 80%, and then take your DSAs and move on to goal 3. Congratulations. Thank you very much. See you in the next one. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe. In transmission.